This is my audience member, my brother, Jeremy. How's it going? Hello, everybody, and welcome to my speech, Keep Calm and Carry On. So, have you ever wondered what is the most common form of illness that affects the citizens of the United States? And if you've ever guessed anxiety disorders, you'd be correct, because anxiety affects everybody. And when I say everybody, I mean everybody. Some of my closest family members and my closest friends will come to me and talk to me about these symptoms and concerns that they might be suffering from these certain anxiety disorders. And unfortunately, back in September of 2021, I lost my father, and this has caused some of these anxiety disorders to develop or worsen. And for the past 9 months, this has resulted in me conducting research to hopefully figure out what's going on in my brain, as well as figure out some coping mechanisms. There are 5 major types of anxiety disorders, but in this speech today I just want to cover the 3 most common ones that I hear about, which would include generalized anxiety disorder, social phobia, and panic disorder. Now, talking about all this anxiety, it's just starting to give me some anxiety, which is actually a perfect segue into our first point, which is generalized anxiety disorder. Now, symptoms of this disorder will be chronic anxiety, which essentially is just excessive worrying about things that don't require as much stress as you're giving it, and just excessively worrying about little things. This will affect your daily life because it'll cause you to think of worst case scenarios, and you'll tend to always expect disaster in simple situations. And it'll also cause you to not be able to handle uncertainty of an outcome. It'll also cause you to worry about little things in life when there are bigger things to worry about. And a huge one would be the inability to relax. I suffer from this one personally, often, almost day to day. When I have a moment to sit down and relax, the second I sit down, my brain just starts racing and racing and racing, and there's almost nothing I can do to stop it. And this will cause me to get up and use that as motivation to get some of these things done, when in reality I deserve a moment to sit down and breathe. My brain just won't let me. Now that we're maybe excessively worrying, let's move on to our second point, which is going to be social phobia. Social phobia is when someone is extremely self-conscious or just extremely conscious of what they're doing around other people in everyday social situations, as well as having overwhelming anxiety just around regular people, sometimes friends, sometimes strangers. And this will affect your daily life because it essentially prevents you from living your life. It'll cause you to avoid all or most social situations, and you'll fear negative judgment, and it also cause you to try and avoid being the center of attention. In my personal life, in a work environment, or in everyday situations, I tend to find myself doing things and completing tasks in certain ways that people prefer, only because I have the fear of being judged, saying, when other people say, hey, this could be done this way, or it could be done that way. And in reality, there's nothing wrong with doing things my own way. It's just I fear that judgment. And that's a perfect example of social phobia. Now that we've had enough of people, let's move on to our next point, and let's focus on our breathing, because panic disorder is our next disorder to discuss. Panic disorder is basically when someone has a sudden and reoccurring intense fear just out of nowhere, also followed by physical symptoms like shortness in breath and chest pains and stomach pains as well. This will affect your daily life because it'll cause you to miss work or school. When you have those sudden panic attacks and you really can't do anything to help it, you'll miss the important events that you need to attend. It'll also cause you to attend many doctor's visits because you might think that you have an underlying condition, when in reality it's just all in your head. You might even avoid certain situations of fear of a panic attack. And this disorder has affected me multiple times. For example, one night I was hanging out at my house, and I was perfectly calm, perfectly fine, and then boom, out of nowhere, hits me like a brick wall. Just intense like fear and stomach. I'm feeling nauseous and dizzy, and my heart is quickly followed by my heart rate just increasing, and shortness of breath, like the feeling of being suffocated. And there really isn't much you can do at that point to try and calm yourself down. Now, today I spoke about 3 of the common forms of anxiety. And these forms of anxiety everyone can relate to in some way. And after this speech, I hope you, my audience, has a better understanding of these anxieties. And as you go on through regular life, just take a moment and sift through your thoughts. You might find yourself showing some of these signs of these disorders. And now I'm not going to persuade you to go see a therapist or call a hotline. There is definitely help out there. Thank you for listening.